woman left behind and without public transportation. It's because of where she lives.
So to take public transportation, it's, if they don't live close to it, it really hurts them.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Alex Giles in tonight for Jamie Bull. No secret, Charlotte is growing. More people are coming here every day and the city is expanding. That means transportation is becoming more and more critical. The Queen City no longer a place where everything you need is just right around the corner. Many of us, of course, have cars where we brave I-77 during the morning rush hour or we drive into Uptown for a Panthers game. But what about those of us who don't have cars? Getting around can naturally be a big challenge.
What's your hope for the paratransit system?
I would hope that they broaden a little bit, and create like a door-to-door for people like me that doesn't have a close bus stop. We really need that.
Charlotte residents who rely on public transportation to get around are being left without because of where they live. One woman who spoke only to WBTV about being turned away by the city for handicap-accessible transportation, even though she qualifies for it. WBTV reporter Liliana Pearson is on your side investigating the problem. First, we're going to show you part of her report that aired tonight at 6 o'clock, then a sit-down conversation she had with Jamie about this story.
Michelle Faulkner is a homebody.
Because I'm like, oh, do I gotta go?
But not by choice. Her vision loss started about 6 years ago.
At first, it was depressing.
Now legally blind and receiving regular dialysis treatment for failing kidneys, she's no longer getting behind the wheel of a car.
And then I had to depend on friends and family, which very quickly run out. Because, they have lives too. They can't just dedicate every day, to my whatever I need.
So she turned to the Charlotte area transit system in their paratransit services. The service is available to those who can't access fixed bus routes because of a disability. Michelle qualified, but she was told she still couldn't get service.
I almost cried. I just felt like it was the end of the world. I was like, well, what else am I supposed to do?
The City of Charlotte's website says it follows the Americans with Disabilities Act, which provides paratransit services to anyone living within 3/4 a mile of a bus stop. This is CAT's 3,104 bus stops laid out for you, each circled with a 3/4 a mile circumference, meaning all these blank spots, you can't get service. Michelle, she lives right here. If Michelle couldn't get a ride to the closest bus stop 4 miles away, she would have to get there on foot. So I decided to walk it myself. And this is what the majority of the walk looked like. It was unsafe and poor walking conditions. I felt extremely uncomfortable for the majority of this.
So Liliana, you actually went out to Michelle's house, right? And kind of looked at what it would be like to get to a bus stop for her. Describe that a little bit.
So Michelle's house is 4 miles away from the closest bus stop.
4 miles.
According to the GPS. So I decided I was going to try to walk it because if she can't get a family member or an Uber to take her there, that would be her only choice. So the first thing that she has against her is that she is visually impaired. She's legally blind. So that's your first one. And then the majority of this walk, there's no sidewalks. There is no way to safely cross lanes of traffic, so you're going to have to run across multiple lanes of traffic. The sidewalks that are there are in incredible disrepair. And then after almost an hour of walking, it was about 54 minutes, according to my timer that I had running. Yeah. I still had a mile left to go, and it was no longer safe for me to finish the walk. It got me to the entrance of the airport. The bus stop was actually at the terminals in the airport, and there's no sidewalks. It's airport traffic, so people in rental cars that don't know the area. Right. I no longer felt safe trying to complete that walk, so I decided to stop it right there. So even for somebody like me who should be perfectly capable of doing this 4-mile walk, it was not safe for me to complete.
90-degree heat or winter storms,
Absolutely.
Those sorts of things. So imagine that. I'm curious, is Michelle's story unique? Have you heard from other people?
Her story is not unique at all. I actually spoke to one woman who qualifies for paratransit services. She uses paratransit services regularly, but the only reason that she is able to use them is because several years ago, CATS changed their service that they had, and that meant that she was no longer going to be able to get it. And so thankfully, she is financially stable enough that she was able to move into an area that had the service. So she had it, she lost it, and then completely picked up her life and moved to make sure she could continue to have it because it's that important of a service.
These are costs that have to be incurred. Like Michelle's case, you mentioned Uber. She's got to pay for an Uber then, right?
Absolutely. So her case, because she doesn't live within 3/4 of a mile of the closest bus stop, she either needs to get a ride to the bus stop from a family member, or she would have to Uber there. And her whole point is, at that point, she's just going to take a family member's ride or an Uber to wherever she's going. It costs about $20 with an Uber round trip to get to the grocery store. So if you're trying to run multiple errands a week, that is incredibly expensive, especially if you're somebody who is living on a fixed income or you don't live close to a grocery store.
Is the city aware of these kinds of issues? What are they doing about it?
Yeah, the city is aware that this is an issue. We know that Charlotte right now is working on their ADA transition plan, so that's the Americans with Disabilities Act transition plan. And this is a citywide survey that's happening to really look at where the city is falling short and what needs to be done to fix it. This is going to be a huge, years-long, expansive project to try to make sure that the city is accessible to everybody. So it's going to be slow moving, but there are some things in the works to try to make it happen. But for now, I mean, people like Michelle, it's hurry up and wait.
Yeah, absolutely. Slow moving, frustrating for these folks dealing with it. I guess if you have an issue right now, what should you do about it?
So if you do have an issue right now, obviously you are going to want to reach out to CATS, the Charlotte Area Transit System, and let them know that this is an issue that you're having and see if there's anything being done in the near future around you. You can also reach out to the City of Charlotte's ADA coordinator. They have a whole team that focuses strictly on the American with Disabilities Act, and they're going to be able to tell you what other resources are out there. So Michelle, for example, she also has to get dialysis. She has failing kidneys, so she was able to get hooked up with a group that they specifically do transportation for people who need dialysis. So she is able to get some form of transportation for at least that medical trip. So there are some different things out there. You're just going to have to make sure that you're reaching out to the right support groups to find those resources. There's a lot of extra legwork for these people.
Yeah, absolutely. Important reporting that you're putting a spotlight on. Liliana, appreciate you coming by and talking about it with us. You can see more of Liliana's reporting on this. Just head to our website, WBTV.com.